Today's Planning and Land Use Management Committee. I'm Councilmember Weezer. I've been joined by Councilmember Englander and Councilmember Cedillo. First on our agenda is item number 10, Director's Report. And should we go to that now or hold on to it? We'll go to it now. Mr. Legrand, you ready for Director's Report?
Good afternoon, Mike Legrand from the Planning Department. Just a brief report. We have a few items we received recognition of at the state level from the American Planning Association. So we won the local chapter of the Southern California region, and we've recently won state awards for an initiative actually submitted by Council District 14 for bringing back Broadway. We just got notified that that won a State of California award from the American Planning Association, as well as the Cornfields Arroyo Seco specific plan. Also won, and there's one more. I'm looking at Ken that won a state award. We have one more. Oh, the small lot subdivision design guidelines also won a state award from the American Planning Association California chapter. So beat out all of our other local cities in those three categories, and we're happy to see the councilman's own personal initiative, the Bring Back Broadway, be so successfully recognized from other planners throughout the California area. So that concludes my report, and I'll be here for any questions.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions? Yes, Mr. Englander.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The specific plans, specifically the Granada Hills plan, where are we on that? What's the timing?
Good. I'll have to report back to you. We've been working on amendments with the city attorney's office on CEQA documents for the community plans, and Granada Hills is one of those that is being moving forward quickly. And I believe the final EIR has been released and is out on the street, and so I think it should be any short time before we come back to City Council. So if it's okay, I can report back to you between now and the next meeting on an exact time frame, but we've been working with your staff on that.
Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Legrand. Item number 3, it's a motion by Mr. Weston instructing the Planning Department to initiate consideration of HSM for a location here on Hobart Street. We'll refer that to staff and then send to council for confirmation. Refer it to staff.
Yeah, if you can adopt it, Councilman, because
okay.
It's going to be council initiated.
Gotcha. We'll adopt that and move that and refer it to staff.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Item number 8, which is we'll approve on consent. And item number 9, we will on 8? I didn't see that. Okay, 1 second. All righty. All right. Item 8. Shahabab Gods.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Debbie Lawrence from the Planning Department. The project is a mixed-use 6-story building with 138 apartment units and 12,550 square feet of ground floor retail uses. The site is located on the south side of Wilshire, between Orange Drive and Mansfield Avenue in the Wilshire Community Plan area. And it's just east of La Brea Avenue in close proximity to Museum Row. On March 13th, the City Planning Commission approved the project for a zone change from C4 and C2 to RAS4 and a height district change from 2D to 1. And the project will be a compatible addition to the local neighborhood and will locate additional housing on a major thoroughfare that is close to a concentration of employment. The project provides a mix of residential and commercial uses in an appropriate zone and is consistent with the general plan. The applicant has requested that a T condition imposed by the Bureau of Engineering to widen Orange Drive be removed. Orange Drive is a local street, and the condition was imposed per BOE standards to provide a 20-foot half roadway in accordance with local street standards. The Planning Commission had directed staff to work with BOE on this. However, BOE would not waive the request. And since planning does not have the authority to do this, the applicant is requesting today that it be waived. And staff is in support of this. So staff recommends the following actions today. Adopt the Mitigated Negative Declaration, ENV 2013-1441 MND. Adopt a zone change from the existing C4 and QC2 zones to RAS4, and adopt a height district change from Height District 2D to Height District 1. The applicant, I believe, has filled out a speaker card, and he can talk more on the request that he's making to waive the widening. Thank you.
Chair Heuser, member of the council, good afternoon. My name is Shahab Goetz, and I'm representing the developer. We are in concurrence with the staff report. There are only 3 items that I would like to clarify and ask your approval on that. We don't want to do any improvement on Orange Drive because the residents in the area don't want it, and the council office also is supporting not to do it. The height indicated in the report, 85 feet. This 85 feet is per building code and not per zoning code. Per zoning code, we do not have a height limit in a RAS 4-1. All the plan checkers in the building and safety, they create problem for us. So I want that to be clarified. Also, the 20% electric car imposed by the Planning Commission, I have an email from DWP that they would not provide power for that to our project. I would like to request to be reduced to 12%. Thank you.
Renee Weitzer from Councilmember Labange's office.
Thank you very much, members of the committee. This is a beautiful building on Wilshire Boulevard. I just thought I'd show it to you. It's an Art Deco building, and we are supporting the condition of deleting the widening, and I gave you a picture that I took this morning. I'm not the best photographer, but you can see the residents in that community, when we talked about this entire project, asked us not to widen that portion so it would match the rest of the street and save the large trees that are there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I have some suggested changes that were mentioned. I'll read them into the record. One is to delete the widening on Orange Drive south of existing alley and saving 4 mature trees. 2, the height of the project should be tied to the elevations. 3, the number of electric vehicles parking spaces. The commission requiring more than code. DWP is not providing sufficient power for the number of spaces the commission wanted. The developer is willing to increase code requirements from 5% to 12%. So is that okay with the planning department? Yes. Okay. Great. Thank you. So with those changes, we will approve this item. Thank you. Next item is item number 9, and I understand that the application has been withdrawn, so we will deny the appeal on that action. Is that an appropriate?
Yeah, receive and file, Councilman.
Great, thank you. So ordered. And now we will go to item number 1, and if we could read that into the record, please.
Yes, Councilman. Item 1 is a communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Ms. Esther Marguiles to the West LA APC.
Thank you. Ms. Esther Marguiles, are you here? Oh, can you please come up to the, and you are being recommended to the West Los Angeles Area Planning Commission. If you could just say a little bit about yourself and your interest in serving on this commission.
Sure. Thank you for having me here today. I am a 25-year resident of the city of Los Angeles and a 20-year resident in Venice. I think that qualifies me as a native in some circles. I'm a landscape architect with a small business. I'm also on the faculty of the University of Southern California in the School of Architecture. I've worked as a consultant on numerous projects in the private sector and for the city of Los Angeles and other public agencies. For the past 2 years, I served as the president of my West Los Angeles synagogue. I'm now happily the immediate past president. I consider this position an honor and part of my civic duty in Los Angeles.
Great, thank you. Any questions for our recommended commissioner? No. Great. Thank you. So with that, we'll recommend, approval to the full council, and this item will be in council what day?
Next Tuesday, August 5th.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very
So ordered.
much.
Thank you. Next item, number 2, please.
Item 2, Councilman, is a report from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. Victor Sampson to the North Valley APC.
Welcome, Mr. Sampson. And,
Good afternoon, Councilman Weezer.
You're being recommended for the North Valley Area Planning Commission.
Yes, sir.
And, a little bit about yourself and your interest in serving on this commission. If you could share that with us, please.
I served on this commission for about 8 years under the former mayor and was recently removed in March of this year, I believe, and has subsequently now have been reappointed. I currently serve as the Vice President for Commercial Real Estate for a local Coldwell Banker real estate firm, and I'm also a probate referee for the Superior Court appointed by the State Controller. I've been in real estate for about 20 some odd years, and I've tried to serve the community with the best of my abilities.
Thank you, sir. And I see here you've served on numerous planning and review boards, and I appreciate your service to this commission and your commitment and volunteerism that you provide to this. So any questions, comments? Mr. Englander?
Just a couple questions since you'll be representing my area. I'm just going through your resume here. It says here, reading your appointee information, according to this, if you can just confirm some of these issues, that you are Caucasian, is that correct?
Yes.
It says you are a male. Is that? Can you confirm or deny that rumor?
Yes.
Okay. One thing I didn't know about you, and I at first was, I've known you for many, many years, all kidding aside, and you've served on numerous boards, numerous commissions. Your philanthropic efforts throughout the San Fernando Valley are unparalleled. But I now have pause, only because I didn't realize you attended UCLA, and so we've got to really take that under
Well, we won in
advisement.
football last year.
In the interest of full disclosure, I didn't think that came up in your background. So perhaps we should send a message to the mayor to do some more discovery on our candidates here. You'd be a welcome addition, a welcome back addition. I know you've served this board well, and your background and extensive history in real estate. I think you were one of the first founding members of the El Pueblo, in fact, so you have a lot of rich experience and history with the city of LA. I think Mr. Cedillo, he actually rode with the original conquistadors that came down the El Camino. So really, it's an honor to have you back and your volunteer efforts on behalf of the Angelinos here.
And I also drive a very safe car that's current.
Is your current registration, your registration is current? Nice. Inside
Yes.
joke. All right. So you've got my full support. You're a good friend, and I appreciate you stepping up and serving once again.
Thank you, Councilman Englander.
Thank you. And I'm sure that Mr. Cedillo has his full support since he also went to UCLA. So
Thank you very much, Councilman Weezer and Councilman Cedillo.
Fight on.
Thanks, Cedillo. Thank you.
So we'll move this item to council what day?
Also on Tuesday.
Thank you very much. So we'll move that item without objection. Item number 4.
Item 4, Councilman, is a report from the Planning Commission relative to a height district change for various parts of CD1 and 13.
Okay, welcome.
Welcome, thank you. Council members, it's no secret that there are a number of Craig Weber,
Please
City
identify
Planning
yourself,
staff.
please.
Craig Weber, City Planning Staff.
Thank
Hello. It's no secret there are a number of motions coming through this committee for various points of what we often call urban acupuncture through the city, places we want to change zones, height districts, look at amending specific plans, etc. With very limited general fund resources, it's often very difficult for us to figure out how to accomplish these. In cases like this, where we have very broad community support and there's relative simplicity in the action, we are delighted to be able to bring these sorts of things forward to the committee. So what you have today is a height district change in the downtown portion of Echo Park. There's really some antiquated thinking behind the height district that exists today. When we were assuming that the Beverly Hills Freeway was going to come through this area decades ago, it seemed that this would be more of a regional center in Los Angeles. Decades later, there's a much different story, though the height district has remained. So The Planning Commission very recently approved the height district change, which reduces building heights from an allowed 75 feet down to 45 feet. There was some discussion about housing and whether or not this will allow Echo Park to continue to kind of carry its weight of the city's housing demand. We think it's important to acknowledge that the city's density bonus ordinance actually allows for larger buildings in this area, of course, if affordable units are provided, and that's consistent with our housing policy. And so we have the reduced height district that came before the committee a few weeks ago. There was some discussion about removing some parcels from the proposed height district change. Revised maps have been submitted to the committee, and those are before you today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cedillo, any questions, comments? No?
Yes, we appreciate that, but we were also appreciative of the fact that this area is encumbered by two districts, and our district is one of them, and so we appreciate the ability to make those decisions for our district. And given the state that our district was left in, last in business permits, last in building permits, last in, and seems in so many other areas that would like to make those decisions and keep those options open. This is not a change, rather our side of the street, we will leave it intact, leave it as status quo. We don't at the moment have any specific plans, but we would like to have those options, given that we were fettered in the past for economic development and housing, and we have a lot of challenges in our areas, so we'd like to make those decisions in our district.
Great. Thank you. And I believe the amended ordinance takes care of Mr. Cedillo's concerns, correct? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Again, I did not see this one. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much. Malcolm Shenot. Public comment, Michael Shenot.
My name is Malcolm Chanel. I'm a resident. I'm also the on-site manager of Jensen's Recreation Center, which is right smack in the middle of this district. I support the new height level of 45 feet. If there was the 75 feet stands, downtown Echo Park would have, I think, catastrophic massing after if people started taking down the buildings that exist, and I think it would change the timber of the neighborhood drastically. Our neighborhood is already highly densely populated, and there's plenty of other areas on Sunset Boulevard to put 75-foot buildings, and this will absolutely go towards keeping the wonderful character of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we'll move the amended ordinance as presented by the Planning Department today and adopt that without any objection. Thank you. So ordered. Item number 5.
Item 5 is a motion by Mr. Corretz instructing planning and building and safety to make modifications to the baseline mansion and station ordinance.
Thank you. Staff here to present this item?
I don't think so, Councilman.
Don't have staff on this, correct?
This is
No?
a motion.
Maybe
I
then
can
if you're
speak
available
on it
for...
if you like. I can
Huh?
answer questions on it if you like.
Answer
or-
questions on the
Sure.
motion. And if I have both Corretz and Bonin's representatives. If I could call up the representative for Mr. Corretz first, Noel Molstein.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Noah Molstein. I'm the planning deputy for Councilman Koretz's office. In the past 6 years, the BMO has accomplished a great deal by promoting the preservation and integrity of communities around the city. Half the lots in the BMO are in the 5,000 to 6,000 square foot range. These modest-sized lots are an integral part of the city's history and character, as well as housing stock. Despite its good intentions, the BMO has shown to have vulnerabilities that threaten the cohesion and characteristic of the single-family neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles. Part of our problem we are seeing today is that the current regulations promote oversized development, and some of our modest-sized single-family oversized development on our modest-sized single-family lots. Currently, with all exemptions and bonuses, it nearly creates a 50% increase in FAR. If we continue on this path, these large-scale homes will loom over these smaller-scale neighborhoods, causing an inconsistency with the character of these communities. Because the BMO has fallen short, we are seeing an influx of RFA requests for many communities throughout Los Angeles. This has caused tremendous strain on the city's department and resources. So, if done well, hopefully this proposal can shed the need for so many RFAs. Amending the BMO will use resources effectively to address the problem quickly. Our goal is not to have oversized homes on undersized lots, creating conflict with neighbors and destroying privacy. That's why, by adopting and approving the motion today, our office is confident that the Los Angeles Department of City Planning will be able to draft appropriate amendments to the BMO that will secure property rights while maintaining sensible development. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Robertson from Councilmember Bonin's office.
Good afternoon, Chris Robertson, Deputy Director of Land Use and Planning for Councilmember Bonin. The baseline mansionization ordinance is a critical tool in maintaining the character of our residential communities. However, in recent years, we have begun to fully realize just how much the BMO has fallen short in achieving that goal. What was intended as a tool to ensure that new houses built in single-family residential neighborhoods would be designed in a way that would preserve the character and scale of those communities has often not resulted in development consistent with the neighborhood. Simply put, the provisions of the BMO as it exists result in houses that are just too big for their surroundings. We fully support revisions to the BMO that would address this issue and that would enable the ordinance to accomplish its original intent. We ask that your committee support this motion to direct the Planning Department, in conjunction with Building and Safety and the City Attorney, to craft amendments to the BMO that will bring the allowable size of homes back into alignment with the character and scale of the surrounding community. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'll call to comments at a time. David Garfinkel, and after David Garfinkel is George Abrams.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Dave Garfinkel, president of the Tarzana Property Owners Association, and we fully support this motion. We've delivered a letter to that effect. As noted by others, the BMO was a great step forward, but several problems have appeared over the course of the couple of years it's been in effect. Those problems are noted in the motion. Particularly egregious in our area is the green bonuses. Those bonuses seem to be granted as a matter of course with no inspection, no validation of the claim. Suddenly an oversized house appears. Looking at it, there doesn't seem to be any articulation, so we make the assumption that it was granted a green bonus. It's very difficult, however, to get from Building and Safety that that's the case. Anyhow, we fully support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. George Abrams, and then Shelley Wagers.
The Argyle Civic and Beechwood Canyon Neighborhood Associations and CD4 both support these reforms. Exceptions for attached structures and FAR inequities for lot size should be eliminated. The primary purpose of limiting building size should not be perverted to promote other policy goals. If the city wishes to promote green construction or particular design guidelines, it should simply make them the law. Saying that if you do one thing right, then you can do something else that is wrong is a lesson that the law should not teach. With so much wiggle room, the current baseline mansionization ordinance is essentially no law at all.
Thank you. Shelley Wagers, Tracy Considine.
Thank you. My husband and I own and live in our home in Beverly Grove neighborhood of Council District 5. Council Member Koritz's motion to amend the baseline organization ordinance will not affect my neighborhood, but it will change the city. Beverly Grove got its RFA, and almost immediately we started hearing from people all over the city. They want what we are having, and I came here to help them get it. Fixing the baseline mansionization ordinance is the fastest, best way for homeowners all over the city to get relief. It will deliver most, if not all, of what they want, and it will keep the RFA option on the table. Councilmember Koritz's motion brings common sense to zoning and relief to communities all over the city. It deserves your full support. Thank you. Oh, may I just ask the other people who support the motion to stand for a moment, since not everyone is speaking today.
Thank you. Tracy Considine, Tamar Rosenthal.
My name is Tracy Considine from Faircrest Heights in Council District 10. My husband and I love our 1920s home and cherish our diverse, vibrant, and friendly neighborhood. As you know, mansionization is a problem that plagues the city from one end to the other, destroying the very fabric of neighborhoods like ours. Supersized homes and the lifestyle that they promote have negative physical, aesthetic, historic, environmental, financial, and social impact on our valued communities. More and more neighborhoods are pleading for relief. For example, Council members Labange and Koretz have recently submitted RFA motions on behalf of neighborhoods in their district. We in Faircrest Heights have asked for an RFA, and a group in Laurel Canyon is also seeking protection. Earlier RFA motions for Beverlywood, Brentwood, and Valley Village got stalled at planning, as did a Granada Hills Community Plan update, which was designed as an RFA substitute. The list goes on, and these are just a handful of the communities that have formalized their request. Weekly, I meet more and more people from all over the city who feel helpless. Our communities need relief.
Wrap it up, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tamar Rosenthal, Richard Platkin.
Hi, I'm Tamar Rosenthal. I am from Mount Washington, your district. Thank you very much. I am here as a private citizen, although I am a member of the Arroyo Seco Neighborhood Council, but I'm here on my own. I submitted some photos just to show you. I have a next door neighbor who is a fabulous guy, but his expertise is in pediatric emergency medicine and not in architecture and environmental sensitivity. So basically, he was allowed to build something that kind of is, we're on a downslope. His house is actually higher than the house that's next to him upslope, and he totally dwarfs our house. I spoke to him about it. He was devastated that we were unhappy. He was surprised that they let him do anything that would make us unhappy. So I am here to support the motion so that neighbors can be good neighbors when they want to and not do something as silly as what happened.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Platkin, Barry Johnson.
Richard Platkin of CD5, Gil Levin will read my testimony.
I speak in support of the Koretz-Bonin motion to amend the baseline mansionization ordinance, BMO. As a city planner, I can explain how the BMO is flawed. It contains so many bonuses and exemptions that it increases the size of a house by 45% over what it grants by right. As a result, the BMO permits the very McMansions it was intended to stop. Because of these loopholes, the BMO conflicts with the city's legally adopted general plan goal of protecting the character and the scale of residential neighborhoods. To reach the goal, the City Planning Commission's Do Real Planning policy document is straightforward: neutralize mansionization. All three of the BMO's FAR bonuses promote mansionization, and all three should be stricken from the ordinance. Clearly, the green bonus must go.
Thank you very much. Barry Johnson and Jeff Franklin.
Hi, Barry Johnson, Studio City Residents Association. I'm just going to give you a personal example. Adjacent to me 8 years ago was a 1,200 square foot home with a 100-year-old oak tree in its backyard. A year later, there was a 4,400 square foot home in that same yard with no oak tree. Under the BMO, that same 4,400 could have been built as 4,000 square feet. Studio City got the second RFA in the city, but even under that RFA, that same home could still be 3,600 square feet, still 3 times the size of what was there before. So we're talking a quadruple size down to about a 3.5 size to a triple size. We're still at a triple size, which is totally out of character with my 75-year-old neighborhood that consists mainly of pre- and post-World War II homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff Franklin, Clark Carlton.
Hi. I support this motion, but I'd like to point out that there are similar issues that exist in the hillsides. I've been a resident of the hillsides for over 30 years, and as you know, we are also overbuilt and overmansionized in our hillsides, and there are projects planned of enormous scale, and I look forward to coming back in the near future to address this issue as well. But I support the current motion and appreciate Paul Koretz's efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Clark Carlton, Rochelle Koretz.
My name is Clark Carlton. I'm Vice Chair of the Committee to End Mansionization in North Beverly Grove. My neighbors and I are saddened each time one of our vintage homes is replaced by an oversized McMansion. Most of these are flat-roofed McBoxes, which are not designed so much as replicated using the basic template of a computer program. They rob us of our sunlight, our privacy, and our breezes. The bleak modernity of these structures are an ugly rupture in the fabric of aesthetic continuity. Councilmember Koretz's motion to amend the baseline mansionization ordinance goes straight to the heart of the matter. This ordinance has failed to promote sustainable neighborhoods and protect the interest of homeowners. Mansionizers tout increased property values, but big box houses reduce the market appeal and value of neighboring homes. The developers turn a fast profit, and they do it at someone else's expense. Meanwhile, these McMansions price more and more families out of the market. Councilmember Koretz's motion puts stable long-term values above short-term speculation. It deserves your full support. Thank you.
Rochelle Koretz.
Good afternoon, Councilman.
Do you live in CD5?
No, I live in CD10.
Oh, okay.
Does that eliminate me from speaking?
Pardon me? No, I was just wondering if you lived in Mr. Koretz's
No
district.
relation to Paul Koretz. Same last name, but no relation. That's a disclaimer, I guess I should say. I reside in the city of Los Angeles and have for most of my life. I live within the boundaries of Wilshire Community Plan, specifically within CD10. In recent years, I have witnessed many developments being built that are completely out of scale and character for the neighborhoods in which they have been constructed. I have to ask myself why these massive structures were allowed to pass through the city's planning department with no objections. The Wilshire Community Plan clearly seeks to protect the scale and character of established neighborhoods. Several years ago, AB 283, which is California Government Code 65860, was adopted to prevent this from happening. The City of Los Angeles spent years downzoning areas so that there was more compatibility between the zoning and the policies stated and set forth in the community plans. This was quite obviously a monumental undertaking, and it is no wonder that we are still seeing fallouts from AB 283. So here we are today still fighting the developers who choose to build massive structures in a neighborhood whose scale and character is in no way close to the mansions they are building. I'm in support of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that's the end of the public comment, and I believe that Mr. Koretz's motion addresses some very important issues for neighborhoods across Los Angeles. And since 2008, when the baseline ordinance was first put into effect, I think it went a long way toward addressing the construction of out-of-scale development in some of our established communities. And right now there are several RFA or residential floor area districts that are being proposed along with this motion to update our ordinance. So I think it's good timing to kind of look at this and to see if we proposed back then is working or not, and to see if we correct some of those things before we hear some of those proposed RFA districts. I have a number of questions on this, but instead of taking more time today, what I'd I'll reserve my questions for when this gets back. But I would hope to refer this to staff for a report back to have that discussion and then adopt any changes to the ordinance. So how long can we see this back before we can see this back in committee? If I could ask the staff that.
Tom Rothman, Planning Department. Are you asking for a report back? We could do that.
Does the motion have specific language it's recommending?
Yes, it's requesting an ordinance, Councilman.
Oh, okay. How long would it take to do a report back versus getting back all the actual ordinance?
A report back would be a lot quicker. We can come back within 45, 60 days with a report back. An ordinance would take a little longer. I have no exact timeline for that.
Yeah. Why don't we come back with a report back and do a quick, see where we're going, direction, language that we're actually being proposed, and then we'll do an actual ordinance to come back soon after that. So we can do a report back.
Councilman, we can do 30 days on a report back
Okay.
since this has some urgency behind it.
Okay, well, let's do that. We'll keep it in committee and be back on this item within 30 days. Okay.
Okay.
And one last card on this item, Tim Piaski.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Tim Piaski, and I represent the Los Angeles Ventura chapter of the Building Industry Association of Southern California. The BIA does not agree with the conclusions addressed in this motion. Decreasing the FAR and removing design bonuses and exemptions under the baseline mansionization ordinance will have a negative effect on current property owners' rights, while also potentially constraining production, which can have a negative effect on the availability and affordability of housing, thereby potentially reducing the city's ability to achieve its housing objectives. This problem should be solved with architecture and good design without sacrificing personal property rights and housing production. The design bonuses and FAR exemptions provided in the ordinance are building standards respected by the building industry and most every municipality. The suggestions in the motion should not be considered. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So with that, with the agreement of my colleagues, we'll see this back within 30 days in committee. Great. Thank you. Next items are items number 6 and 7. If those could be read into the record, please.
Sure, they're interrelated. Councilman, item 6 is a motion by Councilman Huizar and Fuentes. It's instructing planning to prepare an HPOC for the Berkshire Craftsman District in El Sereno. And item 7 is a motion Huizar Blumenfield requesting the city attorney to prepare an interim control ordinance, again for the same study area.
Okay, thank you. So these two items, one is asking for the preparation of an ICO in the Berkshire HPOZ and for us to initiate proceedings to establish a Berkshire HPOZ in the community of El Sereno. So I'd ask that we move these items to direct planning along with the city attorney to develop an interim control ordinance for this area and report back to committee within 30 days on these two items. 30 days as well, please. For both, yeah. All right, with no objection, we'll order that. Anything else on the agenda?
No, Councilman. Public comment.
Okay. Thank you. Seeing no public comment cards, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
That it?
That's it, sir.
Man. Good, huh?